All right, got a couple of OGs on the table today. We got a 2006 Ford Expedition, north of 200,000 miles, two-wheel drive 4R70W. I believe it's got a 5.4 V8 in this one. And we have a 2003 Chevy Suburban 5.3 liter. Four-wheel drive, and this one is, I believe, about 250k on the clock. So yeah, these two are well used, likely abused, and we will see what's going on inside of them. We're going to start with the Ford. Get this Ford rolling first. Got our input sensor. Ooh, she is smoked. That is a bad smell. So it has an input sensor. It tells me it's an 04 and up. I know it's an 06, but 04 is when they added a sensor here. It's the output sensor. And let's get this converter yanked. Looks like it has been rebuilt before. CVC converter. It's a converter rebuilding company. I believe they're out of business. No, they might still be in business. A lot of the companies are buying each other up. Let's pull this housing off before we flip it over. That's gross. So we got something major going on inside here. It's actually kind of sticky. Does not smell good. Don't smell that stuff. It's kind of sticky, which is odd. Looks like it was remanufactured. Got a serial number on there. Looks like it was done a long time ago, just by the condition of the paint. See the paint on the converter coming off. This thing's probably been in the truck for a while. So like it does not have all those 200,000 miles on it. So guess we'll see if there was a reason why it failed. Oof. Can you smell that through the camera? That is god awful. God awful. Yeah. Filter. Get our valve body off. Oh, look at that. We have one loose bolt. you're being a pain in the butt. Oh. It is off. See nothing going on there. Looks okay. So I got a loose bolt here. Just gotta check these with my finger. If I see one loose bolt, I'm just going to check. We had a missing bolt here. I didn't see that in the pan. So we got a loose bolt that fell out and a missing bolt altogether. Another loose bolt here. Now I'm tearing this down in real time. I didn't play any camera tricks on you. This is exactly how everything was. 2 loose bolts and 1 missing bolt. So not saying those caused the failure, but these bolts have to clamp down evenly and in the appropriate areas for the fluid to stay in their proper channels. So who's to say some loose or missing bolts might have caused some fluid to get in places they shouldn't be? Maybe, maybe not. Alright, and I don't see a paint mark on these bolts. Looks like all the bolts, most of the bolts have been paint marked. I can't tell if the paint's coming off or they didn't mark these bolts. I don't know. So I'm a big fan of a torque wrench. I catch some crap for it, but I feel like torque wrenches are mandatory in my opinion. A lot of guys out there that build transmissions professionally do not use torque wrenches. That's their prerogative. They've been doing it for a number of years. That's their business. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong or they're right. I just personally, in my opinion, I feel like torque wrenches are something you have to have when you're putting a transmission together. These bolts have to be torqued evenly into a certain spec. Too tight up here, too loose down here, you can cause unevenness, you can cause it to warp. You have a high pressure fluid coming through here in some places that can lift in places or not get it through in places if it's too tight. So to me, torque wrench, everything's uniform and evenly. I use my gun, I use a smaller gun than this, I run the bolts down, and then I go back over every one of them with the torque wrench and finish them off, ensuring nothing's too tight or too loose. But, you know, I'm not going to badmouth anybody that doesn't use torque wrench. That's just my opinion. Now, a couple of these 10mm bolts, these little ones were loose. Not finger loose, but you hit them with a gun, you can hear the difference in what a tight bolt sounds like and a loose bolt. So take that for what it's worth. See, it seals all these little channels up, and if you have something loose that's not torqued, it can leak over into the other channel and cause all kinds of problems. And it could be a slow leak. You know, it could happen leaking just enough over a period of time that's going to cause a problem. It won't happen right away. It could take, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40,000 miles for it to take its toll. That's not tight. Which that one isn't as important because these clamp down. That just kind of holds the plate in place on this side. Those aren't even barely tight. I could almost with your finger. That one's pretty tight. Came right up. See, just a little tap with a gun, it comes up. So that tells me these are not torqued properly. You hear a definite click, like a hard click, but these just pop right up without any real pull on the trigger. All right. Don't see any cracks here. It's like a thicker plate than factory. This is not a factory plate, because what'll happen is this support here will push against the factory plate and crack it. And this plate's not cracked, and it is definitely thicker. So they did upgrade that. Alright, we got some Sonex parts in here. We got the PR valve. That looks like about it. There are a few more things we're going to need for this besides just the PR valve. It's the bare minimum. Alright, get our accumulator out of there. This is our third gear accumulator. Spring is not broken. Sometimes these pistons will separate. Looks okay. Now I want to drain this a little bit because I don't want to splash myself with any nasty fluid. Pop this connector out and roll it over. Let's roll the other one. And we'll let that drain while I get the pump out. Okay. God, this thing stinks. Now, I think it would barely move forward. Or I can't remember what. There's too many cars going through. I think this one was not moving forward, or it wasn't moving reverse. I'll tell you here in a minute exactly which way it wasn't moving. Oh, wait a minute. Do you see that? I just love finding a smoking gun. That pump is not tight. So there's 5 bolts back here, and this holds the pump stator to the pump body. The pump body has your pump gears in it that makes fluid. You have an intake and exit for your fluid the pump brings in and pushes out. You know, it sucks it from the sump and then out goes through the outlet as pressurized fluid. And it'll try and overcome a big leak. I mean, the pump it's a very massive pump. It looks small, but it will put a lot of pressure out. And so it can overcome certain leaks for a certain period of time. What's going to happen if you have low line pressure? And low line pressure, the vehicle still may work, but it's going to cause damage to your clutches. They're going to slip, they're going to slide, they're going to do all kinds of dumb stuff as this pump tries to overcome the pressure. Now, likely it was not always this loose. I'm betting they ran these bolts down and they were, you know, tight with the gun, just tap, tap, tap. And it's worked its way loose over time. The constant pressurization of the pump has been kind of working these bolts backwards. And it probably got to the point where it created a big enough leak where it finally could not overcome it. So it ran for a period of time with low line pressure, and then the leak just got bad enough because likely they're having to put more gas on it to get it to go as it's slipping, making the pump work harder, making the pressure higher, making these bolts back out faster. So, and then finally it backed out enough, and it's like, nope, I can't overcome this leak. It's too much, and quit moving. So it likely wasn't moving forward or reverse. But these, I mean, look, this is exactly how I pulled it out. Not a single tight bolt on this pump. So this is the smoking gun. This is why this transmission failed. That is 100%, 110% builder error. Now, I'm not throwing anybody in the bus. I don't know who built this thing. I'm not trying to say this guy, that guy. But this thing failed because someone did not do their job properly. 100%. There's no question about that. I mean, it's not even speculation. The evidence is right here. Someone did not do their job when putting this transmission together, and it failed because of that. So shame on you, person who built this last. It's your fault this thing's back in my shop. Well, not back in my shop. It's at my shop. It's being pulled back out again. You're the reason this thing has to be worked on again. Now, I need to get the overdrive band out. See if I can slide this out. Intermediate clutches out. Now I'm gonna have to ask I think they just bought this car because it's got temp tags on it. So I think whoever got it just bought it. So I doubt they put a transmission in it. I'm surprised the intermediates aren't smoked. Maybe they bought this transmission used. I don't know. We'll talk to the client, but I don't think they'll be able to shed any more information on it. They got a few upgrades in here. Someone put some parts in and tried, but did not torque it properly. So you can put all the fancy parts you want inside of a transmission. You can throw the entire part store at a transmission when you're building these things. If you don't know what you're doing, or you do it half-assed or improperly, all the parts in the world aren't gonna make a damn bit of difference. Aren't gonna make up for ineptitude. All right, give me a couple of these long bolts. Let me get this overdrive piston out of here. I'm taking my time doing this now. I'm not rushing, guys. I'm not trying to break any records here. I like to really go slow on something someone else has been into, because if I'm going back, I'm going into this unit behind someone else, back into it, behind someone who's already built it. And, you know, I have my share of comebacks. You know, I'm not perfect. Things happen, parts fail, whatever. I do bonehead stuff sometimes. And I've got to go back into something. I already know what I've done. so I can kind of go in and look behind my own work. But if I'm going in behind somebody else, I don't know what they've done. I don't know their building style, because everybody builds a little differently. And so I have to really pay attention, you know, to little things that they've done or didn't do so that I don't miss something. And I may go in and do my whole process and find out they did something totally bonehead that I've never thought you should have done, and I miss it. It goes back in the truck and it's not working properly. Now I got to track that down. So I'm going to really methodically go through this. Even though it's a simple unit, I'm still going to methodically go through it to make sure I don't miss anything that could have been done to it when the previous person worked on it. Alright, so this is the overdrive apply piston. Got an upgraded part for that. They didn't put it in there. They did sleeve the case. That's nice. So someone did some work to this thing. Put some good parts in it. This is the 1, 2, and 3, 4 accumulator piston setup. So I believe the 3, 4 is on top and the 1, 2 is on the bottom. I think it's a dual chamber. So you have fluid acting inside here and then fluid acting inside here, depending on how it's filled. Fill hole from the top here, and there's a fill hole down at the bottom there, and one at the very bottom. So depending on which chamber is getting filled up, it's accumulating a certain gear. Let's see if I can get this out without splashing myself with some nasty fluid. I might leave it in there. It's just a reverse piston, reverse apply piston. If it's going to be a pain, we'll just leave it there for later. Oh. Okay. Woohoo! Tried to get me. So yeah, it's spring loaded. It's got a return spring. Piston. They changed it. It feels good. Usually these are rock hard. They put new ones in there. Now we can pull this out. Oh, I don't like to see that. Ugh. I don't think this is burnt. I think it's just the way the material looks. This is gross. This is... I might get divided opinions of this too, but this is... Someone took a whiz wheel with a little pad. You can see the irregularities in it. And so the drum was a little bit, you know, glazed from the previous band. And so instead of either replacing it or properly refinishing it, they took a handheld whiz wheel with a pad on it, an abrasive pad, and just took it around the town. And I don't like this because it causes irregular hills and valleys on the... On this drum, I can actually feel little valleys and hills on there. And when you need a good flat surface for your band to apply on, and it may not look like a lot, but it is. It's got to be super flat and smooth to actually grip properly. This is just ugly. And some guys like doing this. They swear by it. I don't like this at all. So I'm going to try and resurface it properly, but I may have to replace this. So I cut that plate down to use it. This is the reverse drum. This is the one-way diode. And this is the forward clutch. This drum is ring grooved. I don't know if you can see it. I can feel it. It's got a nice ring groove down there, so this drum is toast. We're going to toss this in the garbage. Looks like it was moving quite a bit. I can see, I don't know if I can get that in the camera or not, but it's got this huge area here that's shadowed. That's a movement. That's odd. Almost like it was, something's missing. Forward clutches are definitely missing. Ain't much there. That's why it was not moving forward. There you go. So these are toast. Yeah, there's not any, I mean, there's not even friction material left on most of these. They're just completely obliterated. Done. So, a big thing with rebuilding transmissions that I want to. Now, can I tell you all the theoretical aspects of fluid dynamics and the engineering behind? No, I can't. But I've studied enough of what other people have posted and published about these things that I can tell you, you know, this circuit was low on pressure and caused this to happen. I can't explain every single bit of these tracks and what they do and all the little nuances to it, but you know, I know enough to be able to rebuild them properly. You don't need to understand all the way down to an engineering aspect of it, but you got to have a better grasp than just changing parts. It looks a little rough. And knowing good parts from bad parts is also a very important part of this. If you're looking at something you can't tell if it's good or bad, that's not going to be helpful when you're trying to fix these units. Reverse band is all intact. Looks like a direct clutch has got hurt too. No, they did not. They just used old steels. Okay. Looked like they were hurt. So this is probably the problem before this happened was the direct clutches are burnout, because you can see the planet's discolored, the top steel is discolored. That tells me that the direct clutches took heat at some time, but these clutches do not have any heat. So that was probably the original cause of failure before it got rebuilt, and then the forwards burn up because of the pump issue. Now this drum is a issue here. Yep. So there's splines in this drum. You see how much they move? That's moving. These splines will strip out. I've seen them strip before. Not in a club or anything, just, you know, in the drum. And I don't know if you can see on the camera there, they're pretty razor thin. They're about to strip out. And once those strip out, you lose third gear. And they're almost done. So we're gonna I usually put new drums in these just because that's a common issue with these, and I don't want that to happen to anybody that I rebuild a unit for. And our output shaft. That I kind of want to point out. In my career, I've come across a lot of people, talked to a lot of folks that got a little bit of wear, chatter on those teeth there. talked to a lot of people that build transmissions. I've been to a lot of seminars and places, and I've talked to people that are just starting out. Or I've talked to folks who've been doing it a long time. And I have come across people that they see burn up clutches and they feel like that's the problem. These clutches are burn up. That's the problem with the transmission. I need to replace these clutches and I'll be all set. That's not correct. These clutches clutches don't, and bands don't just burn up on their own. I'm sorry, they don't. I've seen them flake apart. I've seen them deteriorate to a point where the material kind of fell off. But if you see burnt friction elements, they didn't just burn themselves up. Something caused this to burn up. And we found it. The pump was loose, low line pressure. And this drum is ring groove, drop pressure there. The low pressure burned these clutches up. The clutches didn't burn themselves up. So tossing a set of clutches in there is not just going to fix it. If even the pump wasn't loose, say it was all tight and good, and we found some burnt clutches in here, find out what caused the clutches to burn up. Because if you just toss new clutches in there, whatever caused these to burn up is going to do it again. Your nice new clutches are going to burn up again. So that's what's a big part of rebuilding transmissions and remanufacturing transmissions, is finding out the root cause and why something failed. Understanding how the system works will help you find out the root cause of the failure. And I think a lot of people that get into this struggle with that aspect of it. They are really good at taking things apart and putting them back together, which, don't get me wrong, that's a big part of it. Knowing how to take these things apart and putting them back together correctly is a huge feat in its own. But that's only going to get you so far. You also have to be a student and learn how these things work. And I mean, I'm no engineer. I didn't go to college. I'm a dumbass. But there's enough literature out there and resources, some of it's paid, some of it's not, that you can study those things and get a pretty good idea of how things operate. A little bit of preloading on that output shaft there. Right there. Pay attention to that during rebuild. Make sure we don't preload that. Otherwise, looks okie dokie. And I want to check. Bearings okay. And I want to check the ring grooves in the back of the case. Feel all right. And a couple things I noticed. So we got some threads here that are pan bolt threads. Are a little bit bad. A little bit, they're a lot bad. See this? Yeah, that one's toast. So I got to spend some extra time and fix these also. And that always gets me. The valve body bolts are loose, but the pan bolts are always over torqued. It's like, come on, be consistent. And I do think this is cracked. Yeah. It's got a little crack there. Now, do I think this crack is gonna be a detriment? Yeah, it's cracked right there. Personally, I don't think this is an issue. My opinion. Our dowel pins are the most important part here to line up and make sure our starter gets in there correctly. So a crack right here, this is a very thin piece. I don't think that's going to affect anything. We'll talk to the client, see if they want to put a case in it. But in my opinion, this little crack right here, this little fissure, I don't think that's going to cause any issues once this is all bolted up. I don't really want to beat somebody up too hard. if I feel like, in my opinion, if something that's going to work okay. Now if it's cracked, you know, up here, around here on the ear part, that's a different story. But down the bottom there, I'm not super worried about that. So, all right, well, we got torn down. We found our problem. We'll get some parts, updated parts, new parts, and get this thing cleaned up. It's going to be nasty, and then get it all back together. So, yeah, thanks for watching.